We'll come into order.
It is 6 o'clock, and the Greencastle Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for Tuesday, May the 5th, 2026 is now in session. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Paul Champion,
Here.
Chris Head,
Here.
Veronica Petrel, John Hinnett,
Present.
Kevin Verhoff.
Here.
A quorum is present, and I remind the petitioners that a vote of three board members is required for any official action. We have minutes from the meeting on February the 9th. The only person on board officially that was here at that time was John. And Lane, of course, was here. So,
Do you need something from me?
I do.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. If you had any corrections or anything on the minutes from the last meeting that none of the rest
I
of
did
us
not
were
see
here.
anything that,
Has been a while. If I may interject, so we did have a jump between minutes. So we had an assignment with a staff member that's no longer working with the city, and in that shift, we don't have January's minutes. So we'll have to address that. I know we've had a bit of an absence, but just for the record.
Okay. So what shall we do with the February minutes?
Yeah, those can be approved. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the vote should probably be for approval of the February, but the point is, there's been no vote for approval of the January.
Yes.
Is that correct, Blaine?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
so you need that from me then,
Yes.
since I'm the only one that was.
Yes.
So I make a motion to approve the February minutes, knowing that the January minutes are still outstanding.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. Is there any public input on non-agenda items? Hearing none, is there old business? Hearing none, we will move on to the first petition under consideration is B26-01. Petitioner is Barrett Jackson, Brother Bear Construction. And we are now on public hearing. Is the petitioner or petitioner's agent present? Yes. Would you please come up to the podium, sir, and give us your name and your address and explain your petition?
You said name and address?
Yes, please.
Yeah, sure.
Should we have a motion to open the public hearing?
Yes. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Seconded.
In favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
My name is Barrett Jackson, address 1672 South Terrace Drive, Rockville, Indiana, 47872. And the long and short of it is we're applying for some variances at the New Myers Market on 275 Fondview Lane.
Okay. Your first one is subheaded number 1, having to do with, as I understand it, driveway width.
Correct, yeah, our request is to be 40.41 feet instead of the 26.
Because
Mainly due to delivery. delivery trucks coming in and out. It just makes it really hard to get in and out, so.
And this would be the single-only entrance to the property. It is a through parcel, but there is no access
Correct.
at the back.
So 40 feet, that's pretty wide. Most vehicles, how wide are your vehicles?
Sometimes we can actually have a full semi. It's pretty rare, but it does happen from time to time. And that's really the reason for the design of the width and the layout of the parking lot as well.
So you need that for radius and turns?
Correct, yeah.
Is there going to be lines painted on that? Because I'm thinking if it's 40 feet wide, or is there a turn lane, or is it just one in, one out? Because you said it's a single entrance exit, correct?
Correct. What was your question?
Is it just one lane in and one lane out, or is there a turn, or 40 feet's pretty wide?
Is it one wide thing with no differentiation?
This should be two lanes, so to be clear, the variance request is to allow to exceed 13 feet per lane with a maximum of 26. So we're splitting it to 40 and some change, so basically 20 and some change per lane.
Will it be delineated so it's not just a free-for-all with all the,
Yeah.
because that's a pretty wide area, you could be going.
Definitely open to it, but it is, I think it's going to be pretty self-explanatory, to say the least. It's a single entrance, single exit. It's not like it's not like that's a high traffic spot where we're having turn lanes and things like that.
Well, I can guarantee that if there's not, and even if there is, a line down the middle of it delineating in and out, that you're going to have people trying to exit to go south, and they're going to be all the way over to that side of the driveway where people coming off of Indianapolis Road are going to be trying to turn in. So strikes me that a line down the middle wouldn't be a bad idea.
Definitely not opposed.
Yeah, the right turners from the left turners.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Blaine has gone through the development standard variances, the criteria that you're required to meet in order to get a variance. Would you want to go through those?
The criteria? It's my understanding that this was sent out previously, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're at a public hearing now, so the public needs to hear.
Sure, and I guess I'd invite you to come up here too, Kenton, if you don't mind. He's the brains behind the operation, so.
So yeah, I can go ahead and list the criteria just for the record. So really what we're looking at for development standards variances, one would be the general welfare, that an approval would not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. Number two would be adjacent property. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. And number three, a practical difficulty. The strict application of the terms of the ordinance will result in a practical difficulty in the use of the property. This situation shall not be self-imposed, nor be based on a perceived reduction of or restriction on economic gain.
Sir, would you step to the podium and give us your name and address, please?
Sure.
Yes, my name is Kenton Pardue. I'm with Bledsoe Rigger Cooper James, the civil engineer on the project. We're located at 1351 West Tapp Road, Bloomington, Indiana, 47403. And so a little bit of background on the driveway width. We know that, of course, the usual customer traffic is going to be passenger cars. And then the usual deliveries that happen a few times a week would be a smaller unit truck, but they do have the occasional semi-truck delivery. And so we used the vehicular turning templates within our software to run semi-trucks in and out. And so we have those exhibits if anyone would like to see those. I don't have them here with me this evening, but happy to send them, of the turning templates for the deliveries. And so we made it wide enough to where I appreciate Blaine's packet here and the pictures of where if it's not wide enough, you will have the drivers, not everybody's the best driver, and they'll run off, and we don't want ruts off the side and just cause erosion and other problems. So that's why we'd like to request the variance. Just follow up on those findings of fact, the general welfare, a wider entrance isn't necessarily going to cause any problems for anybody. We are, as part of the drainage review, it mentioned adding a trench drain to that, so we're collecting drainage. It's not like we're going to be adding a bunch of extra runoff into the street or anything like that. The adjacent property it is facing Fondview Lane, and the adjacent properties on each side of that, by having just one entrance rather than two, we're better accommodating the driveway separation distances. Then the practical difficulty, we do have the practical difficulty of accommodating the delivery traffic without, we don't want to, of course, have the trucks driving off of the entrance.
If I interpret this plan correctly.
Can I say something?
Not quite yet, sir. The driveway is on a curve of Fondview Lane, is that correct?
Yes, it is. Yeah, they're on the partially part of the curve.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
I think I can see the practical difficulty in getting semi-trucks in and out and delivery trucks. The thing that I think jumps out at me is the potential safety risk of having such a wide driveway and cars being able to go in and out pretty quickly, you know, because you don't really have to slow down to make a tight turn. I don't know how you could necessarily address that with such a wide driveway, but has that been considered? And will there be any efforts to slow folks down from speeding in and out?
Yeah. Something I think we could do, we had mentioned before, stripe down the middle, sort of delineating the in versus the out. And to that point, really the width is for the delivery traffic. I think it'd be something where, I mean, we're already striping, the parking lot where we could sort of stripe an in and out and sort of stripe off part of it. So cars know that you shouldn't be driving there, and it's just for, really the pavement's just there for the delivery access.
I think I'll add too, from a safety standpoint, it will allow vehicles on a regular basis to enter and exit a little more easily, and not have to, so they'll be able to exit off of Fondview onto the drive easier, which I think is a positive as far as safety goes, but I do see your point as far as exiting a little.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would counter that with, it's into basically a residential neighborhood, and I want it to be slow, not necessarily easy.
Right.
So that's where my concern about the safety is coming through.
Sure.
Yeah. So if
Do you
we
have
were,
any objection to having that as a contingency that's in your findings of fact tonight?
that
If they approve it?
that we
say
address,
you will do that?
do the striping,
Yeah.
I think that's very reasonable and a good idea. Thank you for bringing that up.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, is there anyone else presenting information for the petitioner?
No.
Okay, is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the petition? And anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the petition? Sir, are you?
I'm not in opposition with it, I just wondered where a semi's gonna turn around in there. If they're open, and they got traffic in there, how are they gonna get a semi in there and turn around? That road's got a lot of traffic on it.
Sir, could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Gerald Hayes, 204 Greenwood Drive. That road has a lot of traffic on it, and they're not gonna be able to back a semi in from the road. could, but I drove a semi for almost 50 years, so I know it takes quite a bit to get one in there. Unless they're having just short trucks and stuff. Where would they turn around in there?
A reasonable question. Gentlemen?
Yeah, I can comment on that. So the semi 53 footers, they're pretty rare deliveries, and those are scheduled out to be really early morning or middle of the night. So they're not middle of the day deliveries. And in the parking lot, like he said, in his software, he was able to safely maneuver those vehicles in that time.
More than 53 foot, it's like
Yes.
70 or 80 feet.
Yeah, the
Right.
50, we used a WB 65. So we'd pull in off of Fondview up to the north and then back around on the wing of the drive that goes east.
I know they said they
Yeah.
weren't gonna make a road all the way back to the other road, that's about the only way I can see them doing that. Coming in from the other side,
I think
backing up somewhere.
Believe it or not, we wouldn't have to use that other road. It's just utilizing the parking lot spaces.
I know he said he didn't want to use that other road because he didn't want people driving through there.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any others wishing
That's
to
not
speak?
gonna mess with my property, any of it though, is it?
No.
Okay. I wasn't gonna come, but
Hey, I learned something, right?
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this particular petition?
Is that just for the number one?
We're just talking about the first, about the driveway, not the other issues.
Okay. Any other questions? Blaine, do we have a report?
We do. So in this case, just looking directly to the south, AutoZone, they have their, what I would call secondary entrance on the east side. That is measured at 40 feet. And the western entrance measures at 35. So that's just for reference, given the vicinity. But also, based on the most common delivery vehicles for this type of business, I found that a common box truck, an Isuzu NPR, is very, very common. Think bread trucks, other vendors, maybe they're a chip manufacturer or something, but these are the most common. And kind of what Kenton leaned into is the curb and how third-party drivers whom the business have no control over oftentimes will run over the curb. They create ruts or they damage the curb itself over time. So from where I stand, given the traffic condensed into one entrance and exit off of a collector road, I felt that it was important to state that these types of trucks are going to be most commonly accessing the property.
Okay.
Blaine, I have a question for you. The existing, I assume this is a movement of an existing business to here. I don't know much of the background. If that's the case, have we talked with the owner about what kind of delivery trucks, since trucks seem to be an issue that they typically get, and will that change with the new place?
Well, this did go through tech review, and surprisingly, that specific question did not come up. We did look over the site plan. We found that parking spaces were sufficient, setbacks were sufficient, placement of other items were sufficient.
The fire department is always at those meetings and talks, to make sure there's room to move a vehicle around, so.
Yeah.
Fire truck and. That's good indication.
Okay.
And if I may, the business that's moving there is the Myers Market right next to the Catholic Church downtown. And so, I'm not sure, I think I usually see their delivery trucks setting on the street. But I could be wrong about that.
But to continue, I have my proposed findings of fact based on the fact that, and Kevin, you may, based on the conversation that was had, this one in particular might come into question, but the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community, whereas the proposed entrance width makes the parking area and interior drive more accessible from Fondview Lane, likely improving overall traffic flow and preventing bottlenecks without a dedicated turn lane. And I only state this because being a collector street and also a bus route for the schools, bottlenecking sometimes when people hesitate in traffic, that's where you end up having incidents. That's just speculation, but that's the way I see it. Number two, adjacent property. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner, whereas the proposed entrance width is sufficiently separated from other entrances in the vicinity, all of which are similar widths to the petitioner's proposed width. And number three, practical difficulty. The strict application of the terms of this ordinance will result in a practical difficulty in the use of the property, whereas the layout of the parcel and buildable area, because this is kind of drawn in a weird fashion, necessitates the need for a unified entrance and exit lane. While the lot has access to Greenwood Drive, the existing vegetation as well as the abutting residential use, which from my understanding has several small children, and trucks and children don't often go together well, makes separation of access in this manner undesirable. In addition, the location of the dry detention basin as well as separation requirement between entrances makes two separate lanes facing Fondview Lane unsuitable. Furthermore, the expectation of the singular access for both commercial deliveries as well as patrons to the business create a need for greater width and turning radii to realistically accommodate both types of vehicles safely.
Is this where we would want to put in there about putting a stripe down the middle?
I should probably read off the mailings.
I'm sorry?
Should probably read off the mailings now that I think about it.
Okay.
The public notices. For the record, let's see. Notice to interested parties would include AL Matt LLC at 4605 Wolf Creek Parkway in Louisville, Kentucky. AutoZone at number 2624 Department 8088 in Memphis, Tennessee. Lynn Ayers at 960 Deerfield Drive in Greencastle. Evelyn R. Black Trust at 1115 Alban Pond Road in Greencastle. City of Greencastle at 1 North Locust Street. Cody Max and Marjorie Trust at 890 Deerfield Drive. Frankie and Dawn, Frankie Cummings and Dawn Klein at 1003 Indianapolis Road in Greencastle. Shirley and Jack Dalton and Jack Dalton Life Estate, 1007 Indianapolis Road in Greencastle. Adam and Jennifer Dobson, care of Hannah Mitchell at 300 Fondview Lane in Greencastle. Joyce Early at 310 Fondview Lane. Eco Trust at 429 Beverly Court in Carmel. Bobby Joe Frost at 1009 Indianapolis Road. Gerald Hayes at 204 Greenwood Drive. Joshua Holcomb and Samantha Hasty at 1020 Deerfield Drive in Greencastle, Edward and Lori Latanzio at 855 Indianapolis Road, Kenneth Levens at 1000 Meadow Lane in Greencastle, Rebecca and Cameron Mills at 1002 Meadow Lane, Myers Holding and Investments, oh, that's self, okay. Ka Nguyen and Tian Hugh at 940 Deerfield Drive, Jacob and Caleb Parrish at 348 West County Road 700 South in Cloverdale, Donald and Adrene Patterson at 8 Kentwood Drive in Greencastle, Larry Jean Patterson at 1553 North US Highway 231, Michael Reynolds and Cheyenne Campbell at 202 Greenwood Drive in Greencastle, Michael Silcox and Alexandra McCracken at 1003 Meadow Lane, Cameron Cox and McKenna Spear at 3888 North County Road 800 West in Greencastle, State of Indiana, Donna Stedman at 1004 Meadow Lane in Greencastle, Scott Travis and Janine Travis at 305 Fawnview Lane in Greencastle, John Wallace Trust, and Betty J. Wallace Life Estate, 881 Deerfield Drive, and Kitty York at 1005 Meadow Lane in Greencastle. Quite a few people. That's it.
Thank you. Any further questions? I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing on this one particular section of this request.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Lori, do you think we ought to go point by point on this one, or can we do it?
If you feel comfy, either way, if someone has read the proposed findings of fact and wants to do that as a whole, or if you want to go one by one, that's fine too, either way.
I'm gonna make the case that we combine 3 and 4 at least, because I think if you approve 3, you limit options on 4. There's,
I thought you meant each findings of fact,
I did.
not combining number 3 and number 4 as far as their
No, I
request.
was just talking
Is that
about,
what you mean?
yeah, we're not there
We have
yet.
to do those separately.
Great, okay, that's fine.
But as far as the findings of fact, you can do them all together, or you can do them separately.
okay.
Yeah, so we could probably reopen the public hearing again and then,
Oh, yeah,
Public
It's still-
hearing is done, and now you're just considering the petition.
For
Just,
section,
just,
for
just,
the first
just,
section.
just,
Right.
just the first one.
just the first one.
Okay.
Now, is this where we talk about putting a line down the middle of the drive?
Yeah, if we want, we would like a condition.
I want to put a condition that we look at putting lines, and I'm going to not limit it specifically to middle, because I think they're going to get a backup here with turn lane. There's going to be people that want to go right and left.
Yep.
And if you just put lines on it, then you can still allow the access of the semis and everybody to be able to make the turn in. They'll just have to wait. And that's a busy road at certain times of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Let's face it.
For lines for safety, designed for safe
And to
travel.
give,
To delineate entry, exit, left,
yes.
right turn.
Delineate
Yeah.
entry.
yeah.
Entry and exit.
Should we assign this to homework for Blaine to work out the details?
Well,
You got it right there.
yeah,
Okay.
well, I was going to say, could use the tried and true to the satisfaction of staff and the city engineer.
Perfect.
And that way it's
Yeah.
Okay.
guaranteed.
Okay, let's add that in.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, I'll move to approve findings of fact based on the contingency that they work with city engineer and city planner to come up with a striping plan for the entry and exit way. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Go you.
Any seconds?
I'll second.
I'll second. Whoever.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Just to be clear, that was a motion by Chris, seconded by,
Motion by me, seconded by John, I think.
Yeah,
That's fine.
that's fine.
It was a
He
tie.
worded it much better than I did, so.
Thanks, Chris.
There was originally a second part to this petition, which has been withdrawn. About curbs, is that correct?
Yeah, and I can clarify that. So basically, the reason for that is, upon filing the petition request, we had not received official comment from the city engineer in terms of drainage design, whether that was satisfactory. Given that it is, ironically, it ends up negating the need for the curbs. So we no longer need to do it because it's an administrative thing.
that is B 26-012.
Yes.
See that you have that marked out in the online version, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, so we will move on to B 2601. Open and close parentheses 3. Petitioner agents are present.
And I have an administrative question. It looks like to me that part of the justification for 4 is based on 3, so I wonder if we ought to be considering these together. Can we do that or not?
Procedurally, they should be separate, correct? But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, okay, why don't we discuss them together then? Because I think when you talk about the holding pond, it is used as one of the reasons that you don't look at the sidewalks, because that would be in the way. And so if you approve the holding pond, then you de facto said you're not going to put a sidewalk in that area.
That's fine, as I just want to make sure that members of the public have the opportunity to address their concerns
Yeah, I think
as we go through this. Okay, for numbers 3 and 4.
What happened to number 2?
It was withdrawn.
Because of the engineering review.
Okay, 3 and 4. Speak to us, gentlemen.
Do I need to restate my name? Okay. So for B2601-3, this is a variance request for the buffer yard type 3. And so I just wanted to be clear that the adjacent zoning of the properties, the one that's driving the buffer yard type 3 is the western property boundary along Fondview Lane. It is the property that is on the west side of Fondview Lane that is zoned differently, that is driving the buffer yard type 3. Otherwise, to the north, the east, and the south, it is all zoned the same, so there's not a buffer yard requirement on those property lines. It's truly just the west along Fondview Lane. And so part of that buffer yard type 3, as it's mentioned here in the report, is a minimum setbacks, a row of deciduous trees, and then either a fence, a mound, or a row of evergreen trees. And so part of, as Blaine mentioned earlier, is the parcel shape is odd, and it's deep on the small portion where it extends back to Greenwood Drive, but the other portions of the site are relatively shallow in depth. And so we're meeting the setbacks as far as the buildings, as far as that goes. But the buffer yard, we're having practical difficulty there fitting it in with the amount of landscaping that is required in that, as well as fitting in, of course, the building and the parking lot and the other aspects that are necessary for the development. And so as part of this, as mentioned in the report, we are providing the other landscaping that's necessary on the site. We are providing the street trees. We're providing all of the parking lot landscaping. We're providing the interior plantings, the foundation plantings requiring. We're meeting all of the other landscaping requirements other than this buffer yard type 3 along Fondview Lane. And as part of the way the grading design worked out with that detention basin and we've got a little bit of a swale along the western side, we've sort of naturally put in a little bit of a berm with the grading. And so really it's the landscaping. And if we were to follow part of all the landscaping that the buffer yard would require, it'd be very dense in here, and then it also poses a question about the viability of the trees themselves and the longevity of their life, if they were spaced according to the buffer yard. And so I could go through the findings of fact here. As far as general welfare, we don't believe that it will negatively affect the general welfare of the community. We're still meeting the setback requirement for buildings and parking lots, as well as we are still meeting multiple layers of landscaping that will shield the parking lot, the cars, and part of the building from the street. And so we are providing that. We're meeting the spirit of providing a buffer without actually providing the buffer yard type 3 required in the zoning ordinance. And then as far as the adjacent properties go, as I mentioned, this is the only place that their buffer yard is required is along Fondview Drive, or Fondview Lane. And so they have the road there already and lots of traffic, as well as, once again, we are providing multiple layers of landscaping already to shield the parking lot and the building from that adjacent property on the west side of Fondview Lane. And then the third part of the finding of fact, the practical difficulty, does go along with the depth of the parcel and being able to fit all the landscaping in and letting it be viable to grow.
Questions?
How close to the curb is, I see you've got the gradient lines drawn there for the, is that downward a pond? Sorry, I'm having a little trouble reading the print on this.
So you're looking on the west
Yes.
side?
Yeah. All right, I assume that's like a lower area or a higher?
Yeah, so the way it is we come up from the curb line, we actually come up, so we're putting in a little bit of a berm anyways, and then it goes back down into a little swale. As part of that with the drainage review, in which we did get comments back from Jeff Mahan, but we're sheet flowing the parking lot off to the west, and then we've graded in a swale. That way we're collecting all of our drainage, and we're putting into a culvert going under our drive and getting it into our detention basin. So we've naturally, by creating that swale, we've naturally put a berm in along that side anyways.
And I can't read the small numbers. How high is that?
It's about 4 feet.
4 feet, okay. Thank you.
And the same goes with on the sort of the southern side there at the detention basin.
So the number 3 here is basically just about setback requirements. Do I understand that correctly?
Not exactly. So this would be, there's multiple layers of landscaping requirements that are all independent of each other. We don't have just a broad landscaping requirement in its totality. So you have parking lot landscaping. You have buffer yards between zone districts, especially residential between commercial. And you do have like a general landscaping requirement for tree coverage and perimeter plantings around buildings. So depending on the layout and where the buffer yard is required, you're going to have, in this case, 3 layers of landscaping required in a depth of lot that's maybe a bit difficult to make that happen. And let's not forget sidewalks and so on.
I also think that having the landscaping there could make it hard to see as you're coming in and out. So I actually think it may enhance safety potentially for drivers going in and out in terms of visibility.
Definitely.
Okay. Any other thoughts or questions from the board? So Chris, your point is well taken, that if we do number 3, if we approve number 3, then sidewalk just doesn't have any place to fit. Any members of the board have any thoughts about the sidewalk? Is there anybody in the audience who is in favor, who wishes to speak in favor of this? Yes, sir. If you would step to the podium, please, and give us your name and address.
My name is Ed Latanzio. I live at 855 Indianapolis Road. I am in completely favor of Myers Market opening in my backyard. I've worked up some drawings at home for the underground delivery system that we talked about, so that I can get it like a bank tube, you know, on the holidays and so on. I don't remember your name, but as he was describing what's across or what's west of the property that we're talking about here on landscaping and shielding and so on, I believe you were describing some of my pine trees to the kind of southwest direction, and Mr. Patterson's deciduous trees across the street. Now, it's been a few administrations in this office that since I've been on the BZA, but Lori Hardwick will attest to that, those days.
You're very good.
Then I was always under the impression that the landscape, the shielding landscape, for whatever the official name for it is when when it doesn't apply, when it sits right next to an adjoining property, which would only be to the north, because everything west, Patterson, and southwest, to me, is zone GB1 as well. I believe that green space behind me that belongs to Patterson's is also GB1. And if it is, it isn't required, the way I remember it, unless it's changed. But I think it was Kevin that brought up the fact that the line of sight as a driver coming around the curve on Fawnview could create an obstruction. And I know we were kind of talking, I believe you're talking about that issue and also the sidewalks together, because they kind of affect each other. My issue is more sidewalk related, okay? Living next to Verizon, facing Indianapolis Road, I cannot walk from my house to CVS. I can go to AutoZone. No, let me take that back. I can go to Verizon. I can go to AutoZone by crosswalk. I can go to McDonald's by crosswalk. If I want to go to CVS, I have to go to Avenue B and back up, and even then there's a section where there's no sidewalk. It was Prior to COVID, it was supposed to be part of the Indianapolis Road expansion. It didn't happen. Crosswalks never got. I'm going to be first in line on grand opening, okay? How am I going to walk there? Tell me that. And I'm not saying that to complicate things. I don't want to make it your life any tougher. But we got bike paths that, I'm retired now, it's great, I walk everywhere I go. And I can't get to CVS, and I want to be able to get to Myers.
Can I
Crosswalk?
really talk to you about CBS? Mayor?
No. I heard a rumor. I'm done talking.
It's been submitted
I
to
know.
the community crossings and so
She and I are going to talk before I leave.
that's going to happen, so that.
There was an engineer one time that told me that it was going to happen by the time you got your pavement that I gave you. I will, that's all I really wanted to comment.
But it is in the community crossings grant that's within that issue, so.
It does create, and during the demolition, let me just make one note. During the demolition, a lot of people, I mean, it was a happy time to see that old termite-ridden barn go away. Yet, a lot of people stop along that road on Fawnview because of all the activity, and it's not a good place to stop. And if the city can get involved with, if they're painting, they got any extra paint, paint the curbs yellow so there's no stopping, somehow signage, that kind of stuff. Those are the only thing I want to say. I've said enough. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak in favor? Anyone else like, is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition?
I just want to be sure that
One moment, sir. If this is going to be more than a question, I'm going to ask you to come up to the podium and give your name and address.
I'm Michael Reynolds, 202 Greenwood Drive, the property right beside him. I was just wondering, so the fence, is there going to be a fence up between my property and your guys' property? And the pond, I'm a little worried about. I have 5 children that are all over the place pretty quickly.
This will be a dry detention basin, so it's basically just going to be a big hole in the ground and not have water in it.
Okay.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Maybe Kenton could elaborate a bit further, but.
It's required by agreement.
Right.
Okay. All right, that's all I was just
But
being
as far
for.
as the fence, though, could they address?
Yeah, I was going to say, on this drawing, could somebody point out the fence to me?
Basically, along the property line, I apologize, it's a bit difficult to see from here to here. Basically, there would be a 6-foot privacy fence along that line. And while you can't see the structure of the home, it will be screened from the commercial use. So the fence goes north. Yeah, the fence runs north and south.
Blaine, was that part of the application? That plan?
Yes.
So whatever we approve tonight is based on that application, so that has to be in there.
Mm-hmm. And this is already went through tech review as well with that.
Is that acceptable, sir? That fence?
Well, it's, as he just showed me, this goes to the end of the drive. Just that pond's gonna be complete and dead site for my kids if it does have water in it.
Can you address how deep the retaining area will be and what kind of risk that might be for
Yeah,
children?
so the detention basin, that is all, it's part of the required, the ordinance, and we already did have Jeff Mahan review our drainage calculations, but,
Why don't you wait till they're done so
Okay.
they can hear what
Okay.
you're saying, because that's going to be important.
yeah, so it is a dry detention basin, and so it'll be drained after every storm event. And even in like a 100-year storm event, it's designed to be drained within 24 to 48 hours. And so usually when it has water in it, no one's going to be outside anyways. And it'll be dry, it should be maintained, mowed, it shouldn't be an issue. And then as far as that goes, we do have plantings along the parking lot, landscape area, so it's kind of, as well as the fence along there, and they'd have to sort of they'd be running across other things before they got to that basin.
I think there was a question on depth. Did you answer that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
It's about 3 foot deep as far as the berm, but the actual water doesn't get more than maybe a foot and a half in the 100-year storm.
They have a fence going just to the end of my driveway. I'd ask that it goes to the end of my property line, which is 10 feet more, something like that. Fence line. Stop it.
Yeah, this is what we have as well.
This is
And we could, I mean, you're saying, yeah, we could if you'd like. Second fence going across in front of your house. Yeah, so we could run the fence.
Another 10 feet down.
okay.
That way.
That'd be better.
Safer.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, we don't want
Yeah,
something
and-
to happen either.
And just, so the depth of it is roughly 3 feet, and speculative is water wouldn't be more than 18 inches tall,
Yeah, during the,
100-year storm.
yeah. Yeah, and then we can extend the fence a little bit to the east, that way it's,
10 feet.
yep.
That's my only concern.
Thank you for raising it.
And that pond is
You're
in,
satisfied, you're satisfied
with
with
the
that?
where it would be.
I'm trying on my work life, our children, we have 3.
Thought that was the berm.
I'm all for raising the business is fine. My concern also is right now, there's like nothing.
Is it here or here? It shows, it's down, okay.
90% of the time, but we have to avoid this board because of a lot of movement. And that just concerns me right now that they're like absolutely mobile. I just turn my back or 2 seconds to look at the computer or what you can go over there and fall in the hole. That's my thing. You want to address that?
I did meet the 4-year-old, and he is wild.
For the record.
Active. He's active.
He's only going to house.
Yeah, can you address anything that you could do to help that situation?
Yeah, I totally understand that. I have 3 boys, and they're 3, 5, and 7, so I get it. Sounds like they should hang out, but but yeah, we can easily address maybe something with some cones and some caution tape. Would that suffice, just to give a visual? So we talked about building the fence.
Can you put up that plastic, the orange fencing? The orange fencing was a discussion at some point, yes.
So there's going to be some silt fence going up very shortly, which would probably suffice. It's not super tall. I mean, you could hop it, but it's 18 inches, 2 feet tall. And we talked about putting the fence up first, but we wanted to get the majority of the construction done first to prevent any damage to it. So we can make that a priority as soon as most of the building is completed, and then get the actual fence in there. But that doesn't really address your concern during construction, right? But we can put the silt, I would recommend putting up the silt fence as soon as possible. Right, before we do the rest of any more excavation, we are.
Barrett, how long until you anticipate completion of the project?
October 1 is a realistic date.
Of this year.
Correct.
That's quick. Not quick enough for John. Okay, so as far as fencing, extended fencing around some sort of barrier around the pond, do we need to put that in writing in our?
As a contingency? The extension of the fence line needs to be a contingency, right? Is that what you're saying?
10 feet east.
Okay.
That's not in your application? It's an extension.
That's something we just discussed just right now. The fence is in.
It should be a contingency.
Okay, let's make sure we get that added.
I do also want to address pedestrian access at some point. Do we need to maybe finish up buffers and move on, or should we?
Yeah, we should probably wrap this one up prior to.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I could give my little narrative and segue. I think mostly all points have been touched upon here. But
I'm sorry, let me ask one more question.
Sure.
Is there anybody else that wants to speak during the public hearing in opposition or has questions? Okay, those concerns have been taken care of. Blaine, please go ahead.
So just to reiterate, basically, there is sufficient landscaping, but the difficulty of the depth provided on the lot is really what we're talking about. So in this case, staff was recommending approval based on these potential findings of fact. One being the general welfare. The approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community, whereas the affected area will meet front yard setback requirements and still retain 2 layers of landscaping within the area. The nature of the petition and its approval would not cause a blight to the senses or otherwise impose on the community generally. 2, adjacent property. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner, whereas the affected area's 2 remaining layers of landscaping will effectively screen the commercial activity due to the amount of tree coverage and vegetation, in addition to separation by a collector street with approximately 50 feet of right-of-way width. And just to clarify that point, regardless of a street being in place, that does not absolve them of the requirement for a buffer yard. But it is 50 feet, so I think it's worthwhile mentioning. Number 3, practical difficulty. The strict application of the terms of this ordinance will result in a practical difficulty in the use of the property, whereas the additional layer of landscaping would inherently affect the parking area design and may ultimately make the northwestern parking section unviable. And this is key because this, I believe, is part of the access for commercial deliveries. In addition, due to the overall parcel configuration and location of the dry detention basin, meeting minimum parking requirements or an amount of spaces desirable based on projected demand of the business would be unlikely.
Okay. Any further questions, thoughts, comments?
Blaine, could you highlight to me on there where the buffer is exactly? Is it this picture here?
It might actually be easier to show on one of the prior images I have pulled up that shows the zoning.
This one? Yeah.
Really, we're talking about here. So really just here where it meets down here. So buffer yard isn't even required in this section.
Because that's residential across the street.
Yeah,
But-
just all the yellow. This is.
Are you
ST
talking on the
2.
west side of Fondview or the east side? Because you just highlighted the west. Maybe that was.
Yeah, the west side. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. This side.
But they would be required to put, under normal circumstances, they would have to put buffering on their property. And that, right? Okay, yeah. And it's because of the residential across the street.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Sorry, not confused.
No, we're good. At least I am. Chris, are you?
Show me.
So this, yeah, on this map, we're looking at the map that has the vegetation.
Yes.
On this map, there's vegetation along the west side of the green highlighted property. So, yeah, right there. And it's because of the residential that's on the west side of Fondview. But
We're still on the east side of Fondview.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
The buffering would be on the east, for sure, in the property.
Okay, so
Yeah.
and again, so I'll go back to what I asked before. If we approve 3, we're essentially ruling out 4 because of a sidewalk. Is that true, yes or no?
They are independent of each other, not necessarily, but the same justifications all kind of fall in line. It's how much depth is there that is workable, and the location of the dry detention basin is a component of that. So while they share an overlap justification, I think they are actually independent of each other.
I want this business to be successful, and that means traffic. And I'm concerned about people walking from the neighborhood or, to the gentleman's point earlier, coming down from Indianapolis Boulevard to there. And without sidewalks, that means, where do they go?
Ironically, I have a suggestion for that, but it's in the next one.
Following on what Chris is saying, is it,
14.
Yeah, I read it.
is it possible to say,
Just want to make sure we don't approve
I'm
this.
trying to remember if there's even a sidewalk along at AutoZone or not.
There's no sidewalk there.
No.
Nor on the residential part
And
north of
I
there.
don't know how that happened, quite honestly, that they got to develop that without it. I do not know how that happened.
I'm sorry, you're talking about the auto parts?
It should have been there, yeah.
Yeah, and there's another piece of property just north of it, correct? That is in the same zoning area? So then, I guess the question is, if we approve no sidewalks, then the neighbor, that could be an excuse for the next section to say no sidewalks.
You could say that, but from my standpoint and what I state in the staff report is, on the west side of Fondview, you have sidewalk from Indianapolis Road all the way up to Shadow Lawn. On the east side, it ain't nowhere, except on the frontage on Indianapolis Road for AutoZone. That's it. And I'm not saying that,
So the solution you propose, and I'm jumping ahead here a bit, of a crosswalk, if you have the property on the north side, then the solution to that's going to be put another crosswalk? Are we going to put crosswalks all along Fondview?
fair point. But crosswalks in this case, or a crosswalk, is the low-hanging fruit short of major investments in the entire neighborhood and likelihood of residential property to the north being redeveloped or AutoZone to the south being redeveloped, or tripping redevelopment to the extent that it would require them to go ahead and provide sidewalks. So it's either a massive investment from taxpayer funds or the likelihood of redevelopment of the whole region to the extent that we're going to get the sidewalks.
Sidewalk is required unless they meet the criteria.
Correct.
So that's the next one, but can they not,
We table 3 and come back to it, maybe?
yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to have the discussion on 4.
Because you can't, if you approve 3, then that precludes that means there's no sidewalk, right?
I don't see how it does. I mean, they share justification, but this is purely buffer yard. I mean,
Okay, so
They are independent of each other.
Doesn't make a difference?
No, I don't think it does.
Require
It's just
sidewalk and-
similar justification as to why both of them really shouldn't be required. But they
I
are,
think they're different, Justin. I think they're different. The buffer yard, they're doing something that's adequate, that meets the same, that does the same thing, right?
I'm thinking more of in the framing of depth of the lot and trying to shoehorn everything, all the requirements, all within that confined space. But I think they are independent of each other. I think we could approve and wrap up 3 without necessarily going into 4.
I don't want to place them in a position where it's practically difficult to do it. I guess that's my question. Because you could essentially, by putting so many requirements around the property, that then it's not practical to actually do it. And I don't want to see us caught into that, recommending that as a committee, or a group, sorry, as a board. That's why I suggested putting the 2 together.
I'm trying to remember farther north on Fawnview, when you get into that residential area, if they have, on the east side of Fawnview, if they have
There's no sidewalks on the east side.
sidewalks.
There's only sidewalks on the west, up that way.
Yeah.
It's not until you get to Shadow Lawn where Fawnview and, it kind
Yeah,
of
there's a-
wise that to the east, there's sidewalk.
The only recent property I've seen built in that area was the urgent care, and I noticed they have put sidewalks in there. They met the requirement. Kind of ironic, it's urgent care also, but that's a side note.
It sounds to me like we need to take care of parts 3 and 4 separately as far as voting and approving.
Can we table item 3 for the time being, have the discussion about 4, and then come back and do the approvals, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll move to table item 3 for the time being.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. Okay, we will table item 3 and come back to it after we deal with item 4. If we can remember where we are in this whole process.
Sidewalks.
By the way, is it this, I'm assuming, bad thing to do when you're talking about anything legal, that it is the same property owners on this entire package,
Correct.
parts 1, 3, and 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've already read that into the record. Okay, number 4.
Would you like to provide maybe some
Go ahead.
initial comments?
Yeah, so we kind of talked about it already, but the fourth variance here, for third voting on here, for the sidewalk would be for the required sidewalk in the zoning ordinance. That would be along Fondview Drive. I think we understand that. And part of that, there is not adjacent sidewalk on either parcel. So it'd kind of be it'd be a sidewalk to nowhere. And to go to what Blaine mentioned earlier, it almost have to be, unless all of the other parcels were to trip something to cause them to also have to put in a sidewalk, it would just kind of go to nowhere in perpetuity. Unless the city were to come in with some sort of a grant and install a sidewalk all along Fondview on all the parcels. It's not that this would prevent that from happening. That could still be if it is to be a city project at some other point in time. We're just requesting the variance to not install the sidewalks as part of this project. And to that point, Blaine had mentioned a condition on here, a crosswalk, because we do have the people pathways on the west side of Fondview. And so, we are in support of that. We'd like customers to have easy access, as mentioned before, to come over and purchase. So as part of that, we'd have a crosswalk across Fondview. I'm imagining that would be sort of like the Piano Key crosswalk, curb cuts, and it'd be ADA accessible. It would have sort of a meandering sidewalk that would go somewhat adjacent to Fondview until it then went adjacent to the drive to be able to meet the less than 5% ADA slopes to then come up to the parking lot and have access crossed. So it seems like, we're connecting it to the community with that condition of the crosswalk while sort of meeting the expectations of the general layout of the neighborhood with no other sidewalks on the east side of Fondview Lane. And sort of to speak to the general welfare, if we are providing that crosswalk, that will not negatively impacting the community because we're still providing access to the business, to the public pathways along the west side of Fondview. And adjacent property, there is not the sidewalk on the adjacent properties north and south. So we're not negatively affecting them. We do have the practical difficulty, once again, of the depth and meeting the requirements for drainage, meeting the other requirements. Oh, and meeting. Oh. Practical difficulty. Okay, so part of it, as Blaine mentioned, does have to do with the depth of the parcel, sort of as we talked about with landscaping, and meeting the grading design for the drainage, to be able to capture the drainage, to meet those requirements, as well as mentioned earlier, we do have street trees along here too. So if you put in the sidewalks with the limited width within the right-of-way to install it there, I'm trying to fit the trees and the sidewalks in. They're going to be really close together, and then eventually the tree's going to get big and pop up the sidewalk panels, and you're going to have something that's a dangerous situation for someone trying to use the sidewalk if it's all broken up due to the trees. And so, once again, meeting the street tree requirements and all those other requirements, it does make putting in the sidewalk more of a long-term maintenance concern.
I thought we gave the engineer the ability to waive the buffer part of the side, between the grassy part of the sidewalk.
If there's a safety concern, they can waive the 3-foot grass buffer. That was done, for example, at DePaul.
Right, yeah. Is there a three-foot buffer on the other side, or is it right up next to the road?
That's right.
It's next to the road.
It's right on the road.
I've walked it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And so, we require street trees?
Commercial development.
So that would be a different area.
Well,
Unless it is considered an aspect of the lands, the buffer yard. I'd have to go back and review the code for that.
I'm sorry, you were saying there's a practical difficulty in the properties to
The depth of the property from Fondview, and then really for the, well, it's not pulled up now, but for the part that's adjacent to the home. So we're meeting, the building, we have the parking lot, and then to accommodate the drainage and the street trees takes us out to the back of the curb.
A buffer yard type 3 requires a minimum setback of 25 feet in addition to the yard setback otherwise required by ordinance.
So a variance that would include the sidewalk in the buffer yard
yeah, the sidewalk,
could accomplish that, could it not?
the sidewalk would be in the setback.
You've already got the buffer yard.
Yeah. No, this is just for context.
The sidewalks can be in the setback. I'm just asking you to explain why it's a practical difficulty, because we require everyone else to put in sidewalks, so, in commercial areas.
Right. And a lot of it has, part of the practical difficulty really is getting into the grading of it. To be able to, even if we were to put it, we're trying to keep slopes maintainable. And so meeting the drainage design and putting in that little bit of swale and then the berm, which part meets all that other buffering, we're getting almost, we're still maintainable with the slope we have. You can go up to 3 to 1. We're a little bit more 4 or 5 to 1 on the slope on that. But if we put in a sidewalk, it's really going to put a really steep slope that's going to be hard to maintain.
Slope on the property or slope for the sidewalk?
Well, it'd be slope on the property, hard to maintain. Yeah.
Slope just east of the said sidewalk. Would it be easier to point at?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm not seeing it. Yeah, if you could, I mean, I just can't.
Maybe the grading plan.
Or even a general?
Through the landscape plan.
From a building perspective, is that where you use a retaining wall?
To make up the grade difference?
I mean, I've
That-
seen plenty of
Oh, right.
sidewalks where there's a short height wall that then goes up to the,
True.
Like at the library.
or like down Franklin Street, right over here.
Yeah, so to speak to that, we're really talking about, like here, we're trying to match grade. There are some underground utilities in here as well. I'm not sure how deep those are. I believe some electric and communications.
So you don't know, is that correct?
We don't know how deep the utilities are. A lot of times those, they're supposed to have 2 or 3 feet of cover, but a lot of times they're put in very shallow. So if it's excavated, put in a sidewalk, we could also end up digging up utilities.
I know there was an incident on Anderson Street where a previous contractor was replacing sidewalk, and when they pulled up the sidewalk, the gas line was within the concrete. That was exciting.
Yeah. Do you want to, in their packet on page 14, it shows the potential sidewalk crosswalk basically going straight east. Ken, will you point out on the drawing where the sidewalk would likely go due to the 5% slope for ADA?
Yeah, so to me, I believe the people pathway that heads west aligns with the jog in the
Speak up just a little bit.
in the property line here. So we would be connecting along the back of the curb here. We'd like to have a curb cut so it's ADA across Fondview Lane. And then it would sort of meander parallel to Fondview Lane and then curve up along the drive and connect up to here. That's because we need sufficient length to meet ADA slope. Okay.
Because the grade right there is pretty steep. It would have to turn south and then back east.
Yeah, like, I appreciate Blaine's initial concept here, sort of lining up with the people pathways. Due to grading, that would not be ADA accessible to just go straight across like that. So that's why we proposed, as part of the condition, the connector would meander along against the drive to get sufficient length to be less than 5%. That way it's ADA.
Wait, what would be under?
The sidewalk.
The sidewalk.
Instead of coming straight east, it would come across Fondview and then turn south to meet ADA grade,
Yeah,
and then back.
Yeah, because this is, as I mentioned, you only have the 4-foot berm here. That
Did I explain that well?
No.
One more time.
Sorry.
Kenton, one more time.
Okay, so
Point while you're talking so I know which direction you're going.
so starting here at the back of the curve along Fondview,
Yeah.
if we were to just go straight east, we're raising 4 feet, and there's not enough length.
Sorry, my representation is overly simplified, but just to kind of convey the opportunity.
Yeah,
Okay, 4
so
feet, yeah, that's
it'd be too steep. So
Yep.
the way to combat that is to increase the length of sidewalk. So we'd still cross at the same point, so the crosswalk lines up with the people pathways, but then we would meander the sidewalk sort of along the site there,
Across the property.
meander across the property to get.
Meet
But
a gentle
not-
slope
not-
for ADA.
That would be specifically to get to the across the property, but not sidewalk along.
It wouldn't connect the whole
along
way.
Fondview.
Yeah.
Yes. Or you could put a sidewalk on that side and put the entrance where you didn't have to go over the berm. The point being, if you had a sidewalk along that whole stretch, you could put your crosswalk wherever you wanted and not have to deal with going up the hill.
And let people walk up the driveway.
or wherever. That would be up to the designers. I'm not trying to engineer it here.
Would you mind pulling up the grading plan once again? If we zoom in at the driveway entrance. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, so what we're talking about now would be connecting here, and then meandering it along Pondview and then along up the drive, and then connecting it back in here. This area is all, it's pavement to accommodate the deliveries, but there's no parking in here. So it'd just be blocked off anyway. So pedestrians would be crossing here. They could cross over. It would just be like anybody else in the parking lot, getting up to the building. But then to the point of grading, this drive, it is sort of steep. I believe it's at 7%, which I mean, it's not too terrible, but it's steeper than most drives. And Jeff Mahan, he commented on it, he said it's fine, but he just wanted to point out that it is a little steep. And so if we were to put in the sidewalk here, we'd have to cross slope no more than 2%, would make this driveway really steep.
Or you'd have to back the sidewalk up and have it, yeah. You'd have to have the sidewalk come up and curve around or something, right, to make it work.
Well, if we put it out at the curb, of course, it'd have to be here.
Yeah.
And then if you put it back past the right of way, we're talking easements. You need to end up with sort of overlapping easements of utilities.
The driveway makes it a long crossing too.
Sidewalks over utility everywhere, and that's not an issue.
Right.
Because that's why utility easements for, and that's, I mean, sidewalks are in utility easements, I think, everywhere. I'm just throwing it out there, but would it make, if the 3-foot berm went away? I'm just thinking out loud, this is not the place for this, but, if that went, if the sidewalk would be closer, would that take care of your slope issue, or is that still gonna be too steep?
It would still be an issue at the driveway.
My concern about the driveway now too is that it's a long crossing as a pedestrian. It's a long way to go where you're in the middle of where cars could be coming in and out.
That's true, that's a good point.
We did just grant the variance for that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I'd like to clarify one specific point where we're kind of limited in where sidewalk can really go because this is a public improvement to be dedicated as a city asset. So it's not really something we could transition over into internal pathways as fulfilling the requirement. This is supposed to be exclusive within the right-of-way.
I don't understand what you're saying. You're talking about, when you say this, what are you talking about?
So sidewalks, street trees, hydrants, utilities, anything under the umbrella of public improvements would be dedicated to the public after bond is released and so forth.
Are you saying that becomes the city's responsibility for
right,
maintenance?
So
and,
that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, you make a good point that now that it's wide, that would be a long sidewalk across the lane.
Or along crosswalk.
I wouldn't want to walk it with kids, that's for sure.
The crosswalk may be better, safer.
And I also, one other thing that appeals to me about having the crosswalk where Blaine had noted it is that it does connect directly to people's pathways, so that it kind of allows for pedestrian traffic coming from different places. I would like to see sidewalks all along there, but maybe that ship has sailed, I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm not looking at it as an either or. I mean, or as an either. I think you do need, I think it would add to traffic if the business would like the traffic, and I assume they would, that comes from people on the other side of the road. Why not? And, you know, let's face it, there's going to be kids coming from school, there's going to be neighbors on Indianapolis Boulevard that are
Ironically,
wanting to go over and get a meal.
I used to live on Shadow Lawn about 20 years ago, and I used that link to get down to the middle school, high school.
Yeah, I think the issue is you're still going to get people that walk on that side.
Yeah.
And we're waiving a requirement that we've got for everybody else. Essentially, then that will open the doors to everybody else coming in and asking for, okay, there's no sidewalk on either side of me, therefore I don't need to put one in.
Maybe you should send a letter to AutoZone and make sure that they put their section in then.
Well, it should have been put in.
That's what I mean. A corporate group doesn't do it, but you're asking a small business to do it. I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't know when AutoZone went in, whether it went in after 2003 or before 2000.
Been there a long time.
It's been a while, and it might have been under our previous zoning code.
We could ask them to put it in and
Well, and
call it a general gift to the city improvement.
If they ever did any improvements, they would be required to put it in, to bring it up to.
We have a threshold of 25% change to anything, the primary structure or the entire site itself. Once they hit that 25%, the entire site has to be brought up to code, including sidewalks.
It does look like it was built in 1997, so that would be before the previous code.
Changes to the code.
So in other words, it's grandfathered in, is that what you're saying, Scott? Before, there was no sidewalk
It just
requirement.
explains why they were not mandated to put sidewalks along Farm.
Assuming the old ordinance didn't requirement. I'm not familiar with it.
I think our mayor has something she would like to express about all of this.
Sidewalks. I usually get a call pretty much monthly about our sidewalks that go to nowhere. And so, you know, I know it's a small business going in, and it, you know, either, you know, I'll just say, I know it's an extra expense and everything to a small business, but it is also a problem that myself deals with on a regular basis as the site of all the empty spots is throughout the community that we have, that we do not have sidewalks. And people would like to see sidewalks go in. And one of those places is all along Indianapolis Road, which we hope our next project's going to get some sidewalks put in, depending on funding. But sidewalks are very expensive for the city to put in when we don't require them to be put in when we have you know, have them put in like our city code currently says they need to be put in. So I don't know what happened prior to why there were not sidewalks put in the housing addition on that side of the street. That was before our time. It might have been prior to I'm not sure when those houses were built, but they probably should have had sidewalks put in at that point in time. But I just know that it's a problem that we deal with on a regular basis when sidewalks aren't put in, when they should have been put in. And then I think we kind of might open a can of worms when we allow sidewalks not for various reasons. I can think of a few places that'll probably come up that will have similar situations to these, and if we don't put them in, then we'll probably have to grant them no sidewalks, and then we'll get our phone calls from the general public as to why we don't have sidewalks put in, so. And then we have those, you know, the folks, like we had new businesses put in on Indianapolis Road, and they all put their sidewalks in. We've had, the folks along Kroger's there that's put their sidewalks in. And then, so it's a problem. It is a way that it leads to all of our different spots that we have sidewalks. I call them sidewalks to nowhere because we have vacancies. We've got them all over the city and, we're going to try to fill them in. But I think a lot of times, probably some of our reasonings we don't have sidewalks where they need to be is because of various reasons. So that's all my 2 cents, is that it is an issue that the city does deal with on a regular basis with sidewalks kind of hit or miss, so.
If there's a sidewalk to nowhere, the thought is if it's next to a property that has not been developed yet, then that sidewalk will go in when that property is developed.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Oh, that if it's next to a vacant lot, there are some in that area, then when that property gets developed, they'll put the sidewalk in.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the question before the board is the slope. The slope is your main issue? Is that a practical difficulty?
I believe that would be the large practical difficulty along the driveway.
I need you to step up to the microphone, please.
Yes, the slope, that is a practical difficulty at the driveway. If we put the sidewalk in, it will increase the driveway slope. I'm not sure, I'd have to look at calculations to see what that slope would be. But it'd likely be over what your typical NDOT driveway slope recommendation would be.
I feel like we're doing a lot of winging it here based on, in guessing without a lot of answers, like utilities, you're going to have to look at it and the rest. I wonder if this should be tabled and come back and see if there's another better solution from an engineering perspective. I hate to see stuff delayed, and I know you've got a tight time frame, but I would like to see this done right and done, frankly. Is that an option?
And is it an option to look at putting it closer to the road and what the effect will be if it is, and you don't have that 3-foot berm? Is that even anything is that a good idea? Is that even, or is that a stupid?
Is the separation, that's not a BZA issue, right?
It may require a waiver of subdivision control, potentially, I don't.
Or I'm pretty sure there's a provision that says that the engineer can waive.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Could be.
I'm pretty sure, isn't that right, Scott? Anything?
Yes.
Yeah.
We amended the ordinance to be able to do that.
Oh,
About something very quickly.
Yes, would you please make this official?
I'm Diana Myers. I know Kevin had said it at one point. When we're talking about the sidewalk access to the people's pathway, correct? Because that is the intent of the sidewalk, is to make the property more accessible to the public. The sidewalk that we agreed to put in with the crosswalk, if you, and I'm not good with this property map, but if you were to make a sidewalk the entire length of the property and put in a crosswalk, which I believe you want both done, my only concern is, what if you have someone try and cross the street along the entire length of the sidewalk, not at the crosswalk? Does that make sense? Like, if you are trying to make it accessible and you want someone to use people's pathway and the crosswalk to access our building, and you put in this giant, I don't know how long the width of the property is, but you put in a significantly larger sidewalk, that again does not have anything connecting it. Like, the only reason they would be on that sidewalk is because they are on our property. Like, they're not walking from the AutoZone grass onto, they run the risk of crossing in an unsafe area.
Isn't that jaywalking? That's technically jaywalking, right? If they're crossing between.
It would be encouraging it, is what Kenton just said. So if the intent is to make it accessible and safe, then you want to make it very obvious the safest way to cross, would be my only thought as someone who potentially will have children walking from TZ and Deer Meadow to this property. I want them to know exactly where they need to walk. That's all.
Thank you.
I'll comment, we have that problem everywhere. Anytime there's sidewalks on both sides of the road, you're going to have that same issue. And interestingly, when I did a search for crosswalks, the number 3 hit was lawyers about people in jaywalking. So, because I was investigating his suggestion on the crosswalks.
It's tough. It's a tough call. I mean, I'm just speaking both sides, right? If there was a sidewalk to the north and a sidewalk to the south, it makes sense. Like, just inherently putting a sidewalk in that leads to nowhere is financial, expense to put in, along with to where I don't know if it necessarily really makes sense. It doesn't really improve anything unless the whole thing is filled in, at least Indianapolis Road. Additionally, it does create a steeper driveway and some drainage issues there. Not drainage issues, it creates a steeper driveway. And I feel like the cross from People's Pathway is a good compromise. So just to advocate for that. Yeah. Yeah, there's only one vacant lot to the north that does not have anything on it. So this, regarding further development, was the comment.
I'm interested in more specifics about the crosswalk, because I know a lot of the crosswalks in that part of town are keyed to stoplights and a specific crosswalk sign saying you've got 3 more seconds to get off the street. What are we talking about as far as the proposed crosswalk itself?
I would lean to Blaine and the engineer maybe for that.
Right, so my recommendation was a condition of approval with a crosswalk meeting, National Highway and Traffic Safety Administration, and HTSA design recommendations for pedestrian and bicyclist safety and to the satisfaction of the city engineer. So that kind of leaves it open-ended, but I had an initial conversation with the city engineer, and his comment on it was one of the more robust options that includes what's called a refuge island, which is the middle of the crossing. You would have curbing and like a median, and sometimes bollards surrounding it, so it's protection from vehicular traffic. He said that was overkill, so take that for what it is. He said traditional signage on either side with painted lines on the road was probably sufficient, but it's open-ended is the point.
Personal opinion is that the traffic on that street, you need all the help you can get, especially when it's going to be new. So I like the safety island in the middle of the street personally.
Is the street wide enough for that?
Barely for an enhanced.
It doesn't, yeah, I don't know, but it just seems like it would be tight.
Yeah.
It would be very
realize
tight.
that possibility.
But it would also slow people down, so that's part of the
Bonus.
yeah.
As part of that, thinking back to other projects I've done, installing these mid-block crossings that have like a piano key crosswalk installed per NDOT standards. And we'd remove the section of curb on each end to make ADA ramps down with the detectable warnings on each side. It'd have the signage for, like pedestrian crossing ahead, crossing signage as well. If there's additional concern, I think you could do like those sort of rumble strips. No, I don't know if that's called a rumble. Those are along the longitudinal, but the several lines to alert drivers. It's a traffic calming measure. It's proved effective.
On the other hand, though, mid-block crossings are typically not something we want traditionally, but
Well, that's why I raised the question. Well, we have done a great deal of talking and exploring and thinking, and it's time to make some decisions. Whether to approve, disapprove, table, whatever.
Where are we at in the process? Do we need to have a motion to close the public hearing? Are we still in that?
no, public hearing, that I
This
believe
is
ended.
just an open discussion.
Yeah, this is just open discussion.
Got it.
I think we can dispense with the reading of adjoining property owners because we've already done that. And it's all part of the same variance request. Any other questions or any other thoughts? I will then entertain a motion to close public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close.
Thank you, John.
Seconded.
Thank you, Kevin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, how do we want to go about this? What do we want to do with number 3 about sidewalks? Would anyone like to make any sort of motion on that?
Number 3 was the buffer.
9,
3 was the buffer. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
3 was the buffer.
Yeah.
I'll move to approve findings of fact on B2601-3.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
John seconds?
With the extension of fence?
With the extension, yes, that's
Yeah,
right, with the 10-foot
I think
extension.
we do need a motion for the condition, I believe.
It can be part of the.
Oh, okay.
Kevin
need to
eloquently
rephrase it?
put it
Okay.
together the
Yeah,
last
all right, I'll do my best. I'll move to approve findings of fact on B2601-3 regarding the buffer with the contingency that there will be a 10-foot extension to the fence on the east side of the property to add additional buffer to the adjoining property owner.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now, number 4, which is sidewalks with the installation of a crosswalk as a condition. Approve it?
I'll make a motion to approve B26-014
Is there a
with
second?
the recommendations of that crosswalk.
Okay. Is there a second?
Is this based on the findings of fact, or is it just for the crosswalk?
Based on the findings of fact.
With the crosswalk contingency.
Okay, so that means no sidewalk, but with a crosswalk.
Yes. That's my understanding. Scott is nodding his head, so that's good.
Yep. Recording it? Okay.
I'll second it so it can go to a vote.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
I'm opposed.
Okay.
And I'm
Motion
opposed, and I'll be clear, I'm opposed not because of the crosswalk. I'm opposed because of the sidewalk.
That's where I am on it too.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that portion of the variance does not pass. What do we want to do with it?
I think it's there, yeah.
It'll need to
That's
go back.
what it is. Have to come back with another proposal, right? Blaine? Who's our,
There could be a motion to deny if that resulted in the change of anyone's vote.
fails for lack of a majority because we've only got 4 votes tonight, because of Veronica not being here.
So does that mean that we have to ask our petitioner to come back?
So in the case of an indecisive vote, when a motion of the board fails to receive a majority vote either in favor or against, and therefore does not result in official action of the board, the matter shall be automatically continued, redocketed, and heard again at the next regularly scheduled meeting of the board.
Well, there you have it. So it comes up again at our next meeting.
Yeah, Article 6, so it'd be 6.1.
Now, does that mean that the petitioner can come up with an amendment or a new petition for the next meeting?
Ask a question.
Lane, what section did you say that was?
So it'd be Article 6, final disposition of applications. It'd be 6.1.
So that's the bylaw.
Oh, of the bylaws, I'm sorry, okay. That's our sign.
Sorry.
So I come back to my question. Does this mean that the petitioner can come back with something different next month, next meeting?
That was my understanding when I made my vote, that the petitioner would have opportunities to, yeah.
Our petitioners have something that they would like to add at this point, I would guess.
Yeah, or we can just abide by the sidewalk rule and not have to come back.
Right.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Right? Yeah, go ahead. And the crosswalk wouldn't be required.
If we just abide by the zoning ordinance, we put in the section of sidewalk along our stretch, and there's nothing requiring us to put in the connection to the people pathway.
Right.
So we'll just put in the sidewalk that goes to nowhere, and that's that. And then there's we don't have to come back, but then that's kind of where it's at.
Right.
Put in a sidewalk, but we don't have to do the connector, so. Because then we're complying by the zoning ordinance.
Right.
So
Okay.
sidewalk just on our parcel.
I would think you'd want the traffic, but that's your decision, obviously.
Actually, if the sidewalk went in and
Down the
somebody
road.
put in a crosswalk, and they could walk down to the drive, never mind. Walk down to the steep driveway.
Was there another one?
Yes.
Yes, we do have another one.
Yes, we are done, I believe.
Larry.
2601. I thank everyone in the audience for your patience and your interest. Now then, B2602. Is the petitioner or petitioner agent present on petition B2602 for Walmart distribution?
Yes, my name is Larry Hall, address 333 South Warren Drive in Greencastle here, representing Walmart stores, specifically the Walmart distribution center here in town. We had applied for a building permit to build an additional structure on our property just to house our implements for our tractors, snow equipment, things like that. It's not, it'll be built on the existing concrete, and it will eliminate, hopefully, at least 2 other buildings on the property. The reason we did not get the permit because we have 9 outbuildings, I think is what Blaine had indicated, that based on the criteria. So that's what reason we're here tonight, just to ask for a variance to apply to get this permit to build this building.
Okay. I would ask if there was anyone in attendance that was going to speak for or against, but I think we should dispense.
Should we open the public hearing?
I'm sorry, you said something about replacing some other buildings?
So we do have, Walmart has a strict stormwater compliance. You know, we do not put anything outside that's not covered, or if it's something we can't put in the building, then we'll cover it with tarp. So we do have a couple of small structures, lean-tos out back, that we put our snow plows into, some of the implements we have for our tractor. So in doing this building, we'll eliminate those 2 smaller structures in the back. So those 2 are not visible from the road. This new structure will be only visible if you go down Warren Drive. It'd be the only way you'd be able to see this building.
Yeah, I live out that way.
Okay.
I was looking at the map and I thought, we're never going to notice that. But, okay. Any other comments and thoughts? Then, would you please read the list of adjoining property owners into the record, sir?
Sure. Not as extensive as the last one. So we've got Troy Schonkweiler at 1822 Glen Browning Drive in Greencastle. We have State of Indiana, Maryland Sturgeon Trust at 1562 Ballard Lane, Tangent Car Wash Company LLC at 2125 Kenilworth Avenue in Wilmette, Illinois. TCP Greencastle LLC at 9102 North Meridian Street, Suite 230 in Indianapolis. Wabash Valley Goodwill, 2702 South 3rd Street in Terre Haute. Walmart Real Estate Business Trust. That's at 0555 Store 902 P.O. Box 8050 Bentonville, Arkansas. Walmart Stores East LP, Property Tax Department, 8013 702 West 8th Street in Bentonville, Arkansas. And let's see, Duke Energy Indiana LLC at 550 South Tryon Street, Charlotte, North Carolina. Lisa, Carol, Ron. Sorry. Ellis, okay, at 1239 East County Road 200 South in Greencastle. Heartland Automotive LLC at P.O. Box 648 in Greencastle. Harold and Jason Howe at 708 South County Road 400 East in Avon. Indiana Gas Company Incorporated at 1 Veteran Square in Evansville, Indiana. James and Jennifer Maddox at 1930 South Warren Drive in Greencastle. North Salem State Bank, P.O. Box 97 in Greencastle. And Public Service Company of Indiana at 550 South Tryon Street in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I believe that's it.
Thank you, sir. One more opportunity for people on the board to ask any questions, any comments. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll motion to close the public hearing.
Seconded.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I will also entertain a motion to approve the petition as stated.
Do you want me to go ahead and read off the?
Oh, yes.
It'll be
The
quick, I
findings
promise.
of fact.
Yeah, I know we're all maybe tired and/or hungry and/or.
Well, I need to make a note on my agenda here that this is where we read the findings of fact, because it's not there.
So this issue has come up more than once, and it really dials into proportions versus hard numbers in terms of requirements. In this case, I believe the maximum allowable accessory structures is at 5, rather than a percentage of the entire lot. And man, is that lot huge. So
122 acres.
So this petition on its face kind of seems ridiculous, really, because a lot of the legal, technically they are accessory structures, but in comparison to the entire lot, they're nothing. They're a fraction of 1% of the entire lot square footage.
I think we're going to change that provision when we change the next zoning code to make it very clear that it's based on the proportion of the property.
And that's standard in modern planning practices anyway. So, to be official here. Staff recommends approval of B26-02 based on these possible findings of fact. 1, the general welfare. The approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community, whereas the nature of the proposed structure will not be accessible generally, does not impose upon the horizon by its height, and the activity related to the structure is not inherently hazardous. 2, the adjacent property. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner, whereas the structure is actually serving to store and enclose equipment which will in fact assist in the overall organization and cleanliness of the site. In turn, this will be less impactful overall than the outdoor storage that is currently in use. Number 3, the practical difficulty. The strict application of the terms of this ordinance will result in a practical difficulty in the use of the property, whereas the current inventory of accessory structures on site are small in scale, by which the vast open space of the property becomes unusable by nature of current requirements without significantly reorganizing and redeveloping the property.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve this.
I move that we accept the findings of fact for B26-02.
Thank you.
Seconded.
And seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Your variance, sir, is approved.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thanks,
guys. Thanks, Blaine.
Is there any other business that we need to be taken care of?
Probably should have put him first.
Yeah, should have changed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you for sticking around.
I appreciate you sticking around.
That's all right. Learned a lot. Thank you.
Well, democracy in action.
Exactly.
We never needed to know.
We did the people pathways, so that's.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Don't need a second on a motion to adjourn.
All right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, gentlemen. And ladies.
Larry, I'll follow up tomorrow with a document for you. That's just the instrumental.
Blaine, would you like this shut down? Yes.